Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to some more Pokemon action. I'm your host Ryan, and today I'm going to be discussing with you part 2 of team building. So something that I just recorded this video, and it was a 40-minute long video where I built the team with you and I explained the thought process. But at the end, I said something that really just made sense, and it clicked, and it made me want to redo it. Team building, this part of team building isn't about knowing what's good by definition, you know? It's more about thinking critically about what is good for my team and how can it help my team get further. So while, say, running Landorus over Camerupt is more common, Camerupt is actually a little bit better, if you understand. So instead of going over each individual choice, I'm going to go over why I think each choice works and how it benefits. So there's two ways to look at this. How does my choice synergize with the Pokemon itself? And how does the choice synergize with the team? So let's take the Cresselia, for example. Initially, it seems like a pretty normal set, right? You've got the EVs, you got the moves, you got everything. But why the safety goggles? Why the magic coat? That's a little bit different. Well, the thought process here is that magic coat has more priority than pretty much every attack in the game. So, and it bounces back non-attacks. So Dark Void, Taunt, Spore, all of that gets bounced back to the user. So with that in mind, I don't really have to worry about a taunt as long as I can predict it coming. I just magic coat, they can't taunt me turn 2, and I get Trick Room off. So that's a synergy with the set, but it's also a synergy with the team, because if you look at the team, I don't really have too much in the way of sleep control. So if Smeargle does get a Dark Void off, it's pretty much game. So if I have a magic coat which bounces the Dark Void back, and regardless of me getting faked out that turn because it goes before fake out, if the bounce back Dark Void lands, I just put their team to sleep, which is fantastic. So that synergizes with the team. The safety goggles might seem like a weird choice, but since we're running Magic Coat, we don't want to run Mental Herb. It would just be a waste of a slot. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make our Cresselia synergize even better with the team. Safety goggles means that it can set up Trick Room in the face of Amoonguss. Amoonguss, you can bounce back the Spore with Magic Coat, but since Amoonguss is Grass type, it's not going to be put to sleep. Therefore, Safety Goggles, which makes us immune to Spore, is a very excellent option. And that is the cohesive and the synergy with itself. However, it also synergizes with the team. Remember, this is a Trick Room Sand team. So instead of taking sand damage every turn, our Safety Goggles makes us immune to that. Beautiful. Dusclops is the premier example of making a Pokemon synergize with itself amazingly. So, as I mentioned when I first recorded this video, which you guys didn't hear me because I deleted that, Dusclops is a very interesting choice. It has 130 defenses across the board, as you can see. It has a pretty measly HP stat, but its defenses are pretty high. So with that in mind, you have to actually understand that you don't have to run Eviolite. Eviolite is really good on Dusclops. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's probably the best item on Dusclops. However, because of its defenses already, it doesn't really need the stage 1 boost to its defenses. So if you're really worried that you can't handle a taunt, Mental Herb. If you're worried that you need health to counteract the Tyranitar Sand, Leftovers. It's really up to you. I personally think Eviolite's the best, and I most likely will never run anything other than Eviolite, but it's on you to decide. But remember when I said that Dusclops is the premier example of a synergized Pokemon with itself? So Dusclops has 40 HP. Dusclops has 70 and 60 offensives. That's really bad. So how does this set synergize? Well, Will-O-Wisp makes you even more bulky because it halves the attack of the target because you burn it. Pain Split works exceptionally well with its HP stat, because you'll be taking a lot of damage, but your HP will always be on a low number in comparison to the other Pokemon. So what you do is you just pain split, and you'll get a good portion of your HP back, and they'll lose a good portion. So even though he has really bad defenses, this not only heals you, but it also damages opponents, which is amazing, and it also helps for his pitiful offenses. Nightshade is an attack, so it can't be taunted away. That does damage equal to your level. So we're level 50 in VGC. You'll be doing 50 damage every time you do this, and that's why I think Dusclops is a really good example of how to make a Pokemon synergize with itself. You have low base HP, and even though we max invested it with 252 HP EVs, it still has a really low amount of HP. The defenses allows it to survive attacks regardless, and then with the low number value, you just hit him with a pain split, and there's actually a good chance that if someone like say an Aegislash hits you with a Shadow Ball, and for some reason you take 95% of your health, so you only have 5% health, you go for the pain split, you can basically 2-hit KO an Aegislash with just pain split. It's great. You can't ever kill anyone with pain split, but that's what the Nightshade's for. So yeah, there's nothing else to really talk about there. Camerupt again, Camerupt and Gastrodon are basically the same Pokemon. You're just gonna be running offensive coverage moves, and you have to decide, you want to use the Stab, so Heat Wave and Earth Power, beautiful. Scald and Earth Power, beautiful. And then you get a third option. You can go, whatever you think. I personally think because, Talonflame and Charizard completely wall my Camerupt, I personally want to run Ancient Power just for them. I like it. Gastrodon, Ice Beam is just a really good coverage move. Here's my answer to Landorus. I can survive an Earthquake and one-hit KO with Ice Beam. Beautiful. So what's their synergy with the team? Well, they just do damage and they help the team win, pretty much. Synergy with Gastrodon and Camerupt. So if you look at Gastrodon, it only has 92 special attack, right? So it's not great. It's not awful, but it's not really the best. But because we're running Storm Drain, and the reason we bring Gastrodon is to switch in on a water type attack, we get +1 for free, and there you go. Now we're actually a threat. But I mean, I'm having a lot of trouble really finalizing this video because it's really more about critical thinking. You have to think critically about how the Pokemon play in your team. You can't just slap on a Camerupt and just assume that it's going to work. You have to slap on a Camerupt and slap on a Gastrodon and then a Cresselia to help it, and then you give the Cresselia a helping hand to make up for the difference that Heat Wave loses because it's a spread move, and now you're doing more damage than a flamethrower, and there's just so much that goes into building a team. It's not just choosing the Pokemon, it's choosing how the Pokemon work. For example, Ferrothorn. There's a few things we can do with Ferrothorn. We could go full offensive with 94 attack. It's decent, and it has high base power attacks. Or we can make use of that really beautiful 131 defense with the ability Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet to basically shut down things like Mega Kangaskhan. They can't do a single thing to get the Ferrothorn. If they want to kill you with Low Kick, they're basically killing themselves. So, really, it's just, it's such I don't know the word. It's just such an out there concept. It's like a theory, not really a fact. Like, you can run Rock Slide on Tyranitar, that's what pretty much everyone does, or you can run Stone Edge because you feel like you want the extra damage. So, yeah, I'm sorry if I'm like going back and forth. I just did 40 minutes of this, and I realized just how much I was rambling, and I want to just point out that team building and putting the moves together, the moveset, the EVs, the IVs, the items, the ability, is all about thinking about how it impacts your team. And once you understand that, okay, the sand not only, damages the team over time, and not only does it give my Tyranitar more special defense. It's basically protecting my camera up from rain. It's protecting, you know, it's protecting my Ferrothorn from the sun, you know, and stuff like that. So that's really all there is. It's not a complicated process. You just have to understand why you're doing things. You can't do things with no reason. For example, like I threw on Superpower and Thunder Punch on this Tyranitar for a reason. If you look at the team, no fighting type, no electric type, no fighting type, no electric, no fighting, no electric, no fighting, no electric, no fighting, no electric, fighting and electric. So now we have those move combinations. And then when you go into the field and you test it and you realize, well, I really don't need electric, you take that and you swap it for Fire Punch. And then you're like, okay, well, I've played this, I really don't need Fire Punch. All right, you know what, I could use a little bit more ice on my team, so go for Ice Punch. And it's amazing. So realistically speaking, there are millions upon millions of combinations that you can do, and the only way to figure out the right combination is to think about it critically, test it, and make sure you know what you're doing. And that's it. This video is one of those videos where I can talk for an hour on this, and you still would not really understand it until you go into it yourself. So with that, I say you gotta test your team, and the next video will discuss the art of battling. It's an in-depth focus, and again, you know, more concepts that are theories and not things that you should apply factually to every single thing you do. But hey, I'm here to guide you into learning it. I'm not here to give you a seminar on exactly what to do. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to catch you guys at the next episode. Peace.